Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar is Leadership Development, What Does It Take? And it will be led today by our President and CEO, Patricia Mota. My name is Eliana Lucena, and I'm the Marketing Coordinator, and I'll be kicking that off to Patricia. But first, I wanted to take a moment and talk about our monthly events. So as you know, for anyone that's unfamiliar or this is your first time joining us, we do host monthly webinars around career and professional development. So make sure you check out astaonline.org/events to see all of our upcoming events, both virtual and in a city near you. Please also take advantage of our career coaching that's also offered on a monthly basis. There are limited slots available. With our monthly career coaching, you get one-on-one personal career coaching for up to 5 slots available for only $20, and that's resume access, interview tips, whatever topic of your choice. You can go ahead and set that up. We do still have 1 slot available for this upcoming month, so make sure to register or register for any one of them coming up in any month throughout the year. So I want to go ahead and introduce Patricia Mota, who will be kicking off today's webinar.
Awesome. Thank you, Eliana, and good afternoon or good morning, wherever you may be today during this session. As Eliana mentioned, my name is Patricia Mota, and I had a colleague who unfortunately could not join us today, Alexandra Herrera, who is our Learning and Development consultant for the team here, who, if you participated in our programs, you would also get to connect with. But before we get started into an overview on one of the key aspects of our leadership development program, which is on the self-discovery, I wanted to share our theme for the year, Beyond Latinidad, Identity, Intersectionality, and Inclusivity, that we will feature throughout the year, but specifically at our National Leadership Conference on April 25th and 26th, taking place at the Radisson Blu in Chicago. For those of you that are familiar with HACE or not, it's a good opportunity to get to know our organization, but also professional development opportunities, networking, and also if you are in transition or looking for your next career opportunity, a good opportunity, really place to connect with great companies and employers across the country. And then, in terms of the theme, at a high level, really shedding a light on the diversity of what the U.S. Hispanic Latino cohort looks like in terms of country of origin, in terms of how folks choose to identify, and really the other aspects of ourselves, whether it's we're also part of the LGBTQ+ community, whether our ability, military status, and ensuring that we're shedding a light of all these stories, specifically on individuals, but also from the workplace and what are employers doing to ensure that they're building an inclusive workplace and overall society. So more to come throughout the year. Please join us at our various events, but specifically at our leadership conference. And so today the feature is around our leadership programs. One of the key aspects as to any professional or leadership development program is on understanding self. The key to be effective as a communicator, as a leader, as an influencer is starting with you as an individual. And so that is something that we embed in all of our programs, and specifically the 2 that I'm talking about today are our Mujeres de HACE, which is our Women's Leadership Program, and our Leadership Academy. And so I'll provide an overview on each of those and then take a deeper dive in terms of our Insights Global Assessment tool that we utilize to help individuals understand what their own capabilities are, and a very practical tool to be able to utilize right away as you are going through the program. And so first I'll start off with our Mujeres de HACE. This program has been around for 10 years now, have over 1,100 alumni that have participated across 10 cities. And it's important to note that both of these programs that we have are cohort model. And when I say that, I mean we're working with a group of 20 to 25 at a time that are together over a span of 14 weeks, 10 weeks, 8 weeks, that are going together through this transformational process. Mujeres de HACE specifically focuses on the leadership framework of self, understanding what our own personal strengths, capabilities, and blind spots, and taking the group of women to not only go through this leadership framework, but most importantly, building a strong supportive network throughout the process. The sessions are evenings, 6 to 9. And typically through these sessions, the cohort, it's the same group that starts at the beginning that ends together throughout the program. And so that's the commitment that's expected from each of the participants. And we bring in session leaders from the different topics that are subject matter experts to deliver the content. The content that is delivered is content that also is delivered in-house, the same that's taking place in Chicago, the same that's taking place in San Francisco and the other markets that we have this program in that have been trained to deliver these sessions. The goal is to help women get to that next level in their career, but we also provide a framework and a platform where there is shared learning, where women are providing suggestions and advice to one another throughout the cohort experience. Here on this slide, you notice some of the topics that we have throughout the session, and again, focus on the leadership of self. Throughout these sessions, as you're meeting in the 6 to 9 p.m. Session, not only are you getting an overview of what the topic is, but you're taking the deep dive, and most importantly, what I believe is one of the most important aspects is the time to actually work on what that is for you. So for example, with your personal brand, many of us, the participants have very busy lives, you're juggling various aspects on a day-to-day basis. So to be able to take time to actually work on what is your brand statement, what are some of the tools, the outlets that I need to leverage in order to enhance my brand, who are the connections that will support and enhance my brand. Same thing for all the other topics, and it's important to not just have a session where you understand what that means, but to actually work on it is one of the key aspects that each of these sessions. The other key component I mentioned earlier is the relationship piece, and so through the team projects, you'll get to meet with a cohort, a smaller cohort of anywhere from 3 to 4 participants that you get to meet outside of the program on your own and as convenient in order to present the final project at the end. This is with all of our programs. Once you're completed all of these sessions, we continue to engage and provide alumni engagement opportunities throughout the year. So some of the key outcomes, here are the numbers from women that we're tracking. We're getting ready to do another focus group and surveys at the end of the year because as an organization, we're embarking strategic planning process overall to take us from 2020 to 2023, but we are moving the needle. I'm proud to say that not only are women going back and getting promoted and helping close the salary gap that exists and affects women of color and more so Latinas, I love to see the empowerment piece where we're really owning our own power, going back to our employers, our communities, taking up leadership roles, visibility projects, and giving back. Not only is our program shaped in a way to help individuals get to that next level, but also as a community understanding our responsibility to pay it forward, whether it be connecting you to a nonprofit board to serve on, whether it be mentoring a young professional through our network, whatever it may be, those opportunities exist throughout the program and some of the impact that we see afterwards as well. So that's a little bit on this program. The other one is our Leadership Academy, and the key differentiator between this one and Mujeres de HACE is not only are we focused on leadership of self and the framework for this particular program, but in addition, the leadership framework is also on leading others. So if you are leading a team of individuals where the content is focused more on that, so we've had also participants that have done both Mujeres and Leadership Academy, which is our co-ed program, similar framework in terms of the evening sessions that are offered throughout the year. Some of the key program components for this program, as I mentioned, is not only the leadership of self, but you're talking about what is the difference between managing versus leading. We've had such great conversations around all of these topics, but that one particularly is interesting because we have leaders, even executives, who struggle to differentiate what is leading versus managing. And so it's a good time to really reflect on what does that mean for you in your own individual role, but when is it a priority for you to shift back and forth? Conflict management and learning how to leverage your own individual capabilities to be effective at that. And then again, similarly, the team project presentations. The other key thing with all of these sessions is not only do we have the session presenter that's leading you through the topic, but also the time for you to individually reflect and take it back to the workplace and take it back to your own professional career. And so now I want to transition to the key tool in terms of the self-discovery piece that I've mentioned for both of these programs. That's one of the key differentiators, but also a key part of the transformation. As I mentioned earlier, one of the key components of really being effective as a leader as you advance in your career is understanding self. And out of the plenty assessment tools that are out there, Myers-Briggs, StrengthsFinder, MBTI, I am biased towards Insights, and I am also certified in this content as a practitioner. And reason being, it provides you, in simple terms, actionable items and key practices that you can take back to the workplace. It shows you about anywhere from 15 to 20 pages on yourself in terms of a personal summary that's given back to you. And of course, you have to take the assessment first and foremost before you begin the program. It's a 25-question evaluator, and it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to take. But when you start the program, we walk you through your own individual assessments and helps you understand, how are you showing up? What are some of the perceptions that perhaps you're portraying or giving off? And most importantly, I really personally love the communication key. I think if we had great communicators, we can move things a lot faster within organizations and society in general, and it helps you reflect on how not only you prefer that folks to communicate with you, but how others within your organizations and your teams may prefer that you communicate back with them, which may be completely different. And then this reflection journey will help you really go back and contribute to your organization immediately. We've had folks, right day after we go through this activity that, looked at, the way that they were communicating differently, looked at the way they were delivering, way that they were presenting themselves. And so this is one of the key aspects that we use in the discovery process in alignment to, traditional cultural values. So it's important to understand that as a Latino serving organization, we also bring that into the realm of the self-discovery piece as well. So we talked a little bit about that, of who am I, and the one thing I will add here is we talk about the traditional values, and one of the examples is if you grew up, and let's say there's a chart that we utilize that has traditional corporate values and traditional Latino values, and on one end it says, family first versus me first. You're talking about interdependence versus independence. You're talking about it's in God's hands or I'm going to handle it. And so you may or may not fall on one end or the other, but it's important to at least generate awareness and have a conversation as to where you may fall, where you may be more comfortable in and why, and how is it supporting or hindering your career. And so that's another piece of the conversation when it comes to the self-discovery and the who am I piece. The journey, as we see for effective leadership, is for anything starts with that exploring and discovering more about yourself. And the reason that is so important, I think, is highlighted here in this visual, because as the more that you are confident or familiar with how you communicate in terms of how you lead, even your blind spots, then you start to progress in terms of recognizing how others prefer to communicate, how others prefer to lead. And you become aware and you begin to appreciate some of those differences. But then the most important steps is you get to, as you see on the visual, is you adapt. So let's say you prefer folks to be brief, be bold, be gone, you have 2 minutes, get to the point. You may have a team member that needs to go through the details, and how are you making the time or ensuring that you're making the time to go through the details and maybe spend an hour and a half versus 20 minutes with that individual in order to help support them as an influencer, as a leader, but also enhancing that relationship along the way. And the fourth step is continuing to take action and practicing, right? I think that we're continuously evolving from step 1 and to 4 in circles. And I think it's important to always be aware of this as you continue to lead in your own personal and professional journey. I also use the acronym SOAP here. It helps you remember. So it starts with self, others, adapting, and practicing. So just something to help you remember this, but also a tool that we utilize throughout our program. So what is the insights discovery piece? So it is a color-based assessment that is based out of these 4 color energies, based off the famous psychologist Carl Jung, who was utilized, his research and findings as a famous psychologist were utilized to develop this model. And the 4 color energies are those that you see on the screen. Each of us have all of 4 of them. However, we have a preference for 1, 2, or 3 over the others. And so when you get your assessment, we're able to tell you at what level you are for each of these color energies. And it also helps you understand what are your lowest preferences and again, learning how to adapt along the way. So here are the descriptions of the 4 color energy preferences. It's important to note that in order to be effective as a team, as an organization, you need a combination of all of these 4 color energies. I like to look at it as needing a diversity, right? Which is encompassed in all of these models. If you have an organization that is all folks who are dominant, fiery, red energy, then there's going to be a lot of combativeness and a lot of maybe things are not necessarily in a good workplace environment. But we need all 4. Those that obtain the fiery red energies are usually the ones that are be brief, be bold, be gone, get to the point, high level. Individuals who have a high dominance energy preference for sunshine yellow, we like to describe as those who are like, let's go to the happy hour, are always planning the social events for the team, for the organizations. Those who have a high dominance for earth green, typically I like to, extreme example of a Mother Teresa of the world, extremely caring, will not make a decision for the team without checking in with each and every single person first, extremely patient. And those who have a high dominance energy preference for cool blue, these I like to describe as our detail-oriented individuals. We find a lot of number crunchers and CPAs and folks that fall in the cool blue. Again, we all encompass all 4 color energy preferences. However, we have a dominance 1 or 2 over the others. And these are all positive attributes. We need all 4 in order to be effective as a leader. And it's important to learn when to adapt. Like you may have a high fiery red dominant color energy, but you, depending on the situation, depending on the individuals, you may need to lean in on your earth green from time to time. It's just important to be aware of when. These are all positive, but on a bad day, there may be some negative traits that come of these, and that's important to realize as well, because you need to be aware of perhaps when your stressors are visible, and this isn't, you may know by any of these that folks who may be in your team, when they're having a stressful day, that they're demonstrating any of these traits on the screen. So this is a high-level overview of the tool that we utilize and what it will tell you specifically to your own color energy preference. Here on the next slide takes us to the next step of adapting and connecting. We walk individuals through understanding what your own leadership capabilities, strengths, and possible blind spots are when you receive your assessment in our program. But then you got to take it into action, and taking it into action is learning when you need to adapt and connect depending on who you are communicating with. There are various tools out there, but also that we share with you throughout the program that help you understand, how do I know if I'm communicating with someone who prefers to, who has a fiery red dominance or a sunshine yellow? What are some signs? How do they react? How do they portray themselves? What are some tips that I can get so that I know that when they're at my desk or I need to approach them, I need to be well prepared and thorough, or I need to get to the point. I need to be friendly and sociable, maybe ask them about how their family is doing, be patient and supportive. And then, the other key aspects, here are some other tips that are there in terms of not being, hesitant on certain issues, or not to tie them down with routine, do not push them to make decisions quickly, and then not to be back and forth on important issues. So these are some other key tips, but again, important to understand where you are and where others may be so that you adapt along the way. Another key aspect that you receive throughout the program is you do receive a one-on-one with the Insights Discovery practitioner, because when we do provide you your assessment, it may be a little overwhelming, a lot of information, but as we've seen, a lot of folks were like, yeah, I can see that, or my significant other has told me this before. But, sometimes there's certain things that do come up in the assessment that you're not too sure of, and that you may not agree with. And I think with the individual coaching session, you're able to walk through that, where the practitioner will help you develop a plan of action. Okay, what does this assessment mean to me? I'm looking to get a promotion within the next year or two. How am I going to leverage this assessment to develop a concrete plan of action? And so that's something that's offered to you throughout the program, and that helps you better understand your Insights assessment as well. So that's a high-level overview in terms of what both of our programs are, and the specific tool that we utilize to ensure that folks are able to go back into the workplace and take action right away into their workplace environments. And so I do want to provide information in terms of the upcoming cohorts that we do have. We offer programs throughout the year. Of Mujeres de HACE, for example, there's a spring and a fall cohort. Here on the spring, you see the deadline for the spring cohort, which is March 15th. The information to apply can be found on the website. And we encourage individuals who are looking to get to that next level in their career, have at least 5 to 7 years of experience, but most importantly, I would stress that are ready for that next move. I think that is what the program is intended to support participants with, and so it's one of the key aspects of that. The next one is our Leadership Academy program. So this is the co-ed program that is offered across 8 sessions. We are also offering a 3-day intensive as well. And this one is geared towards that new or managers or that have a team that they are overseeing, because a lot of the content is focused on being effective as a leader and as a manager for that team that they are overseeing. Again, you can find more information on the website and how to apply on there. And, we post information about testimonials from alumni that have gone through our programs on our social media outlets, but also information and updates on these outlets. And so please follow us on there. And I'll leave that screen there for a second before we wrap up and take any questions that you may have regarding any of this information that we just shared.
And for anyone that has joined us, if you would like to submit your question, please go to your GoToWebinar control panel. There will be a questions drop-down. Go ahead and type it in, and I'll go ahead and read them out loud. While I collect those, I believe there is a short video that we can show them while they submit their questions, and that should be playing shortly. Oh. All right, so I'll go ahead and read the first question, which Anna, I did respond to you directly, but I'll go ahead and ask it for the general, everyone that's attending. Is there a Mujeres Leadership Program in New York City? And the answer to that is yes, there is. I did send you the direct link to our New York cohort that's starting in the spring. Applications are accepted through March 15th. If you, for anyone that's interested in seeing all the cities that are available in the spring and fall, make sure you visit aceonline.org/programs and go to our Mujeres de ACE program, and there you will see all the cities listed. The next question is from Robert. He wants to know, are the assessments that are being discussed only available via the leadership programs mentioned earlier?
These assessments are global assessment tools, and so these are tools that we, as through our organization, being a nonprofit, get offered at a discount to offer to our members.
Perfect. Again, for anyone that's on the line, if you want to submit your questions, go to your GoToWebinar control panel and drop down on the questions tab. The next question comes from Sylvia. Who developed the assessment, and is it theory or research-based?
This is a combination of both. It's based on the research of Carl Jung, who is a famous psychologist.
Perfect. So that looks like that wraps up all of our questions. Again, I just want to reiterate for anyone that is interested in applying to any of our programs or wants more information, please feel free to visit our website. And we also invite you to, like Patricia mentioned earlier, come see us at any of our upcoming events. We are having our leadership tour across 10 cities. We kicked it off yesterday in Chicago, so you can register for tickets to those events on our website as well. We thank you, everyone, for joining us. We hope that the information you received today is useful, and we hope to hear from you if you join us for our leadership program.